returned in a long time. And we have a very special guest coming your way. Mark, who do we have?
Today on our show, we have the one and only Weston Cage. Weston is an actor, he's a musician, and I'm sure there's some other things he can tell us about himself. And I saw some of Weston's movies recently, 211, Assault on VA-33, D-Day, and a whole bunch of others. And I understand you were also in a metal band, Eyes of Noctum. That was pretty cool.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys saw those. Thank you for the introduction. And I love the Flesh God Apocalypse shirts. And we're representing Mediterranean and all over the world as well here. Scandinavia, all over, every direction here. Man, it is an honor, first of all, to be working with you guys. I've been wanting to do this. Sentiment is mutual. I've been very eager, and I was in Eyes of Noctum, yeah, which meant the stars and eyes of the night, basically being watched over by all directions.
How many songs did you record with Hellhammer?
3, I believe. 3. We did Eyes of Noctum, the title track. We also did Venomous Desire, and we did God's Second Hand. He annihilated those very well. He was incredible. Jan Bloomberg he's an anomaly.
Yeah, because like the Eyes of Noctum stuff, man, you guys did like symphonic, you did like clean singing, you did like death metal, bro. See, like you do this thing with your voice that like I cannot duplicate. Like when you do those black metal voices, you're like,
you just did it pretty well right there. I mean, it's just relaxing the throat. So it's more like, it sounds like a paper cut. It's like when paper, it's just like a brace. It sounds like a stun gun frying paper.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you show Weston your beautiful voice?
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. And the dirty deeds, and they're done dirt cheap.
Heck yeah, man. Good pharyngeal vocals right there. Get that. Dirty deeds. Pharyngeal stuff is hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to do the pharyngeal vocals.
Musician to musician, what did you enjoy most about performing? Did you because for me, I always love the behind the scenes stuff more than the actual show.
The performance is where it's all at. Seeing those vocal changes, and yeah, it's exhilarating.
Like a musician, I was going to ask you too, like who would you want to work with? If you could like work with any like musician, is there anybody that you could choose, or just too many to choose from?
So many to choose from. Francesco Paoli, the drummer for Flesh God, yeah.
Everybody knows that you're still doing music. What are you writing lately?
Well, I've been writing a theme song for my comic book character, Voodoo Child, that I made with my dad. I've also been writing a lot of music with, Blasco, who has been managing me, and making sure that everything's good and going fine and dandy. And then also Chuck Binder, my manager for all things film and theatrical, and all things thespian related. I'm just staying in the hustle and just going hard. And I do the Instagram live to make kind of like a woodshedding session for people that we can all come together and hear something, achieve catharsis or some form of release. I want to try and be a connoisseur and a giver of the chills. I think that the chills really reset us. It's a positive thing. It really does affect the body in every direction, and get some good goose flesh.
I personally been following you since 2009, like from the Eyes of Noctum days to the modern days. And like since the Eyes of Noctum days, and how I even heard about you was when you played Chicago. Some friends of mine went to that show. And they're like, hey, man, there's this guy named Weston Cage. He's connected to the Shagrath from Dimmu Borgir. His father, is Nicolascage. And I was like, what the f-? Like, I was like, are you serious? And then when I followed you and I listened to your music, I was like, dude, this guy is extremely talented. Like, you got like stage presence with you. And I always thought that was like really neat about you. You're doing your own thing, man. And I just think that's just great. It's an honor for me to talk to you because I've been waiting to talk to you for 13 years.
Oh man, well the sentiment's mutual, and the amount of gravity that we have supporting us, the inertia of the universe is supporting us with this interview, man. I could feel it, this podcast, all of us, the gravity and inertia supporting this having happened, and I'm just honored. You know, I'm honored to be talking to people that are quintessential musicians and creators, and also you guys you're extremely talented. I love your movies.
Listen, I saw some of your movies. I know in one movie, Assault on V33, you played a villain. And I was wondering, you know, since you're such a happy spiritual guy, how do you get into that mindset to play the villain?
I really allow, and that's a fantastic question, I really allow action to be a hypnotic suggestion that I am no longer Weston. And only the best of me that I need for that scene is going to be with me. And that cut is my hypnotic suggestion for disengage. I disengage immediately when I hear a cut radically so that I can come back to my senses, because I go into it so relaxed that I start to get into the imaginative hypnotic, and it starts to get different. And cut has to be an anchor. Action has to be that bell that rings like a boxing match. You're gonna go all 12 rounds. The director maybe wants to do 24 rounds or something like that.
I watched 211 again today, and when you entered the bank, you immediately turned into "get on the fucking ground," like you did that death metal growl, and then you also do the same performance kind of in D-Day when you're like, "Do it, hoorah, hoorah!" You know, like you're using the power of the diaphragm in your chords with this, and I could tell that's from your years of death metal.
That and opera training, yes, and I had to access my opera, my stage, you know, when it was like, "Get out of the ground," you know, or something huge, or you know, "You have it." You know, some of those more commanding. That's all from opera and metal.
How did the Luke character come about? Like, how did you embrace Luke?
Well, I was working with a guy named Anthony and a guy named Aaron, and also my father. And Mike Nylon got me that role, you know. But I auditioned and worked very hard on many different movies and TV shows like NCIS, you know, hardcore auditions. But I get in on that one because I just fit the part of this kind of big guy that you would imagine listening to ska or something like that.
So Mark wants to ask you a 211 question. Mark, go ahead.
211.
About his father. He almost sniped him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I remember that scene. What was that like? Did it feel awkward at all? Like you almost shot your father in the movie?
Well, I wasn't operating the rifle for that scene. That scene, they had someone else, you know, videotape through the scope, but it would have been horrible for me. Yeah, you know, that would have been wild.
So Weston, that D-Day movie, I really liked that movie. Now, was that what battle was that? That was different than the just the Normandy beach, right? It was like a separate battle.
That was specifically the Battle of Pointe du Hoc.
Okay.
And that had to do a lot with, the enemy was elevated. The Nazi structures that were created in that battle made things seem impossible. And there was already even an apology letter written in case it were to have been the garbage disposal it was. It was a garbage disposal, basically. It was just set up to rake and rind and crush and destroy. And the elevation, once again, always being, you know, the thing where people were trying to get up, rappel up with these ropes and grappling hooks and stuff and trying to get up. And, you know, it was getting cut, the ropes were getting cut, people were getting shot at and mowed down. It was an example of something that was mission impossible or something, like, you know, it's just an impossible mission, but it was done and it was able to be finished, and they got through. You know, it was bitter, but filming that made me come into a deeper state of empathy and compassion for our armed forces.
How was working with Chuck?
Oh, it was magnificent. And I think that he's an incredible actor. Actually, he really did this. He did this very well. He you know, did some things that are similar to what Brando would do if he were to be doing a scene that was a lot of verbiage, and he played a great general.
Another fighter was in that movie. It was Randy Couture.
He has heavy hands, man. When we did that scene when we fought in the I don't know what you would call it, in a cockpit as well. like of a boat, but we did that scene in D-Day when we got into the argument by the wheel of the boat. You know, Randy Couture's hands, the weight. I was just like, my goodness, man! Like he's doing this calmly and naturally. His hands still have weight from just so much memory of getting those punches the right way. I was in paradise to be working with him.
I know you've like been able to do like accents in movies too, which is pretty cool. Do you speak any other languages besides English?
I can survive in Russian, German, Norwegian, Latin, which of course is not going to be spoken, but even ancient Egyptian, Greek, and then also Farsi a little bit, Hebrew, and Arabic, a little bit of Arabic. I just have a very sponge-like mind. I absorb information, remember it the way that my mind compartmentalizes stuff. It stays. You know, I know that at one time the Ottoman Empire did speak Farsi. I did refer, yeah. Well, I've always wanted to go to Turkey, man. I the only turkey I have is like Thanksgiving stuff over here. It's getting a little annoying over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh my goodness! You know what, man, Weston? If you ever come here, man, you are always welcome to stay with me and my wife, man. We have plenty of room.
So Weston, like I know last year was a bit weird and we got locked down due to COVID, and you know, what was that like for you? What did you like do during the whole COVID lockdown thing a year ago?
Well, there were a couple times when I was not well during that lockdown. I was extremely sick mentally, actually, for a second, and then I came back to normal. But you know, I had to be really strong and austere about my practices, my spiritual practices, and my ideology first. Spiritual ideology, then the art. You know, and I had to be careful with drinking. Now I'm clean, and I'm just very grateful.
How long have you been sober for?
Oh my gosh, it's been, oh man, I actually lost count.
Okay.
I literally lost count. It's been a while.
You've done it all. You've done everything that like a person could possibly ever could dream of. Seeing you becoming sober, like seeing you progress into an actor, from a guy who's fallen, from an actor to like every step. Now you're a father, you're married, you know what I mean? Like it's so cool to see people progress and become something stronger and get better and heal. And I can tell that you're completely healed, man. That story of you becoming the man who you are today is more interesting than the career you've done. I'm proud of you, Weston.
Thank you, brother. It's such an honor to speak with you. I'm lucky I have a great father. You know, he really made sure that I, would stay working and keep at paying my dues and staying up and getting to bed on the right time and.
You are a family man. Do your children watch you on film?
I'm not sure if they've seen any of my movies. I have 4 kids. My daughters are 18 months now, and then my sons, 8 and 6. It's just, I know that my son Lucian, the eldest 8-year-old, he loves my West Cage stuff. Even when he was really young, he really can actually put his hand up to a poster of the West Cage stuff and, Tell Me Why and all those songs like that. That West Cage album went under the radar. I think it was kind of good that the solo album went under the radar a bit, because now I can use that stuff for film placement stuff. And, the film placement stuff is really, it's the way to go.
How do you show your kids the right path on how to do things as a father?
Just speak to them from the heart, make sure it's heart to heart and really choosing the words carefully and making sure that they understand that, what is reality, make sure they're seated in reality. Reality is more profound than fiction.
Growing up, did you ever have like family night with like your father and like, hey, we're going to watch horror films tonight? Did you ever?
My dad was really careful about which ones, because, I was always so imaginative. He was very careful about making sure that I didn't watch something that was too tremendous,
Absolutely.
Even Fantasia could be too much at the wrong time. You know what I mean?
I know those old Disney movies are trippy. Ever have like an out of body experience before?
Many.
Many. What's
Yes.
that? What are those like?
Well, it's like being inside of some kind of a drone flying around yourself, kind of looking around. Sometimes you need to put a foot down so that you're not spinning, but it can start to get a little nauseating if it's not done with light in the heart, because it is gravity from just another direction. You're just kind of feeling gravity and kind of floating, flying, but you're still feeling gravity and seeing what you're doing, the gravity of what you're doing and what you're experiencing. It happens to a lot of people that are drinking too heavy. It can start to go on a vision quest. It could happen to people that are doing anything too heavily sometimes too. And also it can wake you up to things that you need to be awakened to, I think, in order to progress and to reach the next level from Stone Age to Utopia, and also keeping things from the Stone Age alive. It's important, I think, to live an ancient modern life where you're doing it in the middle, and art, science, and spirituality have to be a trifecta, a very powerful trifecta. I'm not pushing religion on anybody, but doing certain things religiously, like, meditating religiously, working out religiously, and letting plan B be a psychotic notion. The only plan that we have is plan A. Plan B is a psychotic nonsense. A was always the one we're going with.
Absolutely.
So
like Mark lives in an apartment. If he had an out-of-body experience, could he end up in one of his neighbor's bathrooms by accident?
Yes. You could sleepwalk while having an out-of-body experience.
Mark, are there any bathrooms you would like to visit when you have an out-of-body experience?
I have never thought about that.
How would you rate Mark's Johnny Cage?
I rated it 10 out of 10, man. I love what that was. I love what that was, man. I love what that was. It was badass. And I appreciate that Johnny Cage was the selected Mortal Kombat character of choice. So that's the grand right there.
Oh, you want to give us a demonstration? He's gonna play piano.
Oh, nice.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
You want to take that on? Good luck.
Mashed potatoes are great.